Time to talk to our guy, Mr. PFT Commenter from the world-famous Pardon My Take podcast. PFT, what up, man? How are you, buddy?
Hey, good morning, JP. Good morning, BMitch. How we doing, boys?
What up, P?
We are great, man. Your Washington Commanders are 10-5 and playing Sunday Night Football with a chance to clinch a playoff spot. You know, we've all been along every step of the way here, but if I had told you back in August, hey, man, right after Christmas, they're 10-5 and could clinch before the season's over, what would you have thought?
I'd say shut up and take my money. 100%. Like this is a very good spot that we've got ourselves in. I kind of wish that we were going up against Cousins. I'll be honest with you. Like I was looking forward to playing Kirk Cousins. I guess maybe the way that he's been playing kind of had something to do with that. But with Penix, it's like I don't know what we're going to get because he's a great college quarterback. And he looked pretty good last week, but we didn't really see that much from him. So I'd rather take the devil with Kirk over Penix because this guy, I just remember seeing him in the semifinals of college last year, and that guy can put the ball anywhere on the field, like every single blade of grass.
He can let it fly, but I think the thing about him is the inexperience, and I think Dan Quinn and crew have to somehow take advantage of that.
Yeah, heat him up a little bit. Hey, BMitch, I got into an argument on today's Part of My Take with Max, our resident Eagles fan. We were talking about Marshawn Lattimore, right? And talking about some of the penalties that he had against A.J. Brown. And I was trying to tell Max that pass interference penalties as a cornerback, yeah, they're bad, but ultimately it's not a great way to grade out how well you played as a defensive back because ultimately it means that you were in position to make a play if you were close enough to interfere with a guy. Am I being a dummy by saying that, or is that for real?
I don't think you're being a dummy. Richard Sherman basically said a bunch of those interference calls was straight BS. He called it some other stuff. But
the second one was really bad.
He was killing it. He said, and he said, which call want to talk about how physical he is, but as soon as somebody touches him, he wants to cry, and the referees bail him out all the time. So, I think if you're going to let the receivers play physical, you have to let the cornerbacks play the same way.
I agree 100%. But so I don't think that we're going to have Lattimore this weekend, right?
It doesn't look good, man. He hasn't practiced yet, and I mean, it doesn't look good, I would say.
All right, I want to see us just air the ball out early. They got a bad defense. Let's put 14 points on the board in the first quarter. That's what I'm hoping for.
So as an AWL PFT, I have thoroughly enjoyed you and Max after these Commanders-Eagles games. But, dude, I almost texted you this. I have a buddy that's from here that moved out to Chicago. Shout out to J-Rock, who has just been telling me how these Bears fans are just melting down. How weird is it for you?
Did you not watch the game last night? They show up one every 2 seconds.
I get it. But how different does everything feel for you now to be living in Chicago and knowing that your organization is no longer like that one? Like they're just doing things right here in Washington. And Washington for 25 years was in the same category as the Jets and the Browns and the Bears, just these teams that it was impossible to win. Now the sky's the limit, man.
Yeah, I got to be honest. It feels good. I got a little bit of guilt out here, though, but I got to get over that guilt. And I think the best way to do that is to fully embrace what happened against the Bears when Jayden threw that Hail Mary. So I think I'm gonna print up a giant poster, high def, of Jayden throwing that Hail Mary and ruining the Bears season, and install it in the Pardon My Take studio. I think that's the only way to move on with this. It's just like confront it head on. Let's make it an even bigger thing than it is. No, but it's weird. I see what the Bears fans are going through, and I recognize all of it. Like it's stuff that we've seen time and time again. If you've been a fan of Washington for any period of time, you recognize all the steps. I mean, hell, they might hire Ron Rivera. Like, that's an actual conversation that they're having right now.
Yeah. Dude, I was saying that a couple years ago. I was like, I'm telling you, watch the Bears, 2025. It's the 40-year anniversary of the 85 Bears. Ron gets that job.
That's such a Bears thing to do also, because they try to pretend like they're a very classy organization. They have respect for history here. They say all these buzzwords, but ultimately what they mean is they want to hire somebody who's very safe and very boring, who won't stand up to the ownership group. And it would be like a nice Bears thing to have, a member of the 85 Bears here, former defensive coordinator for the Bears, a classy, strong-willed guy like Ron come back. Like, they don't really care about the product on the field. They just want to exude class. And Ron Rivera is that guy if you want to hire him. One crazy thing I learned about the McCaskey family, this to me is actually insane. On game day, if you're in their suite, you're not allowed to wear anything with a Bears logo on it. You're not allowed to wear anything with the word Bears on it. You just have to dress up in like a suit. They think it's
bizarre
to wear the merchandise of the team that they own.
But what if the fans start telling them, okay, if it's beneath you, it's beneath us?
That's a good point, BMitch.
I mean, I'm like, if you can't wear the stuff that you're trying to sell me, hell, I don't want to wear it.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I do feel bad for Bears fans here. They've been going through a lot, but ultimately, I'm so glad that they took Caleb Williams and we got Jayden. So thank you to the Bears.
Totally. I mean, we were talking about it, and as the season has gone on, there have been like dumb just content creation attempts when like people wanted to hype up Bo Nix and stuff. If you were to redraft this thing right now, it'd be Jayden at 1 by such a wide margin. I'm not done with Caleb. I think he has so much natural talent that if somebody can, like what Kevin O'Connell has done with Sam Darnold this year, if you get a quarterback with the natural talent of Caleb Williams to the right coach, the right situation, he can still be a player. But right now, he's just so far from it, man.
Yeah, Caleb, I think, is still going to be a great quarterback one day. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he's very good. Nobody could succeed in the situation that he's in right now.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great touchdown pass last night that got called back. He threw like 30 yards on a rope as he was rolling out to his left. Like, he can still make these throws, but just everything around him is bad. And it's been sad watching him kind of just have to realize what he's gotten himself into in Chicago. It's been a slow realization for him. I think day one of opening his eyes was that the Sunday Night Football game against Houston, where he just got beat up and sacked. And then, over the season, it's like been slowly revealing the true nature of the job to him. But yeah, I'd have Jayden 1, but I had Jayden 1 even before the draft. He was number 1 on my big board. I have Jayden 1. I think I would put Caleb 2, and then Bo Nix 3. And then, I guess we don't know anything about Penix yet. We do know about Spencer Rattler. I'd put him maybe in the last minute of the game. Spencer Rattler might be one of the best quarterbacks out there. But yeah, I would have Jayden 1, and I think I still believe enough in Caleb to put him 2.
Yeah, it's interesting. Talking with our friend PFT Commenter here. Of course, you can hear PFT, watch PFT, the Pardon My Take podcast, macro dosing. He does it all. Specific to Washington, what do you think, if anything, this one means that Dan Quinn gets a shot at Atlanta on Sunday Night Football? It's the first time he's going to face the Falcons, where, for better or worse, for right or wrong, 28-3 is kind of what's remembered most about his run in Atlanta.
Yeah, I just like to remind people that Dan Quinn is a Super Bowl winning head coach, meaning like he was winning the Super Bowl at one point in his career.
I didn't know that term.
So I think we made it up. It's very misleading, but you can get away with it if you speak fast enough. So I think what's going to happen this week is that Dan Quinn cares so much about his guys. Like, he's obviously a coach that his players know that he loves them. Like, you saw it happen even with Dallas, right? Like, Michael Parsons was talking about how he still hears from Dan Quinn, who checks in with him, and just to make sure that he's doing okay after a bad loss. Like, the players love Dan Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that the revenge is going to be like the players getting together and be like, we got to do this for Dan. Like, I think that's how much they care about him. So I would expect, it's a playoff push. It's prime time. You don't really need that much of a boost to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it might be just a little bit more emotion right off the bat, especially from like Frankie Louvu. That guy is he's a glass case of emotion, is what he is. He plays with such a great passion, and I think that if you could get even just like 0.5% more juice out of some of these guys for kickoff, then I think it's going to make a big difference, and I think that they'll do it for Dan.
Well, dude,
definitely.
one thing that I think you would appreciate, I think the crowds at the games have been awesome. And that's not to say that there haven't been away fans. I mean, some of the stuff that's been going on for years is still there, but the people that are there are loud and fired up. And I think you're right. I think Sunday night will have serious.
The players
juice.
are giving them a lot to be loud about.
Yeah.
You'll like this, PFT. So last night, just with Christmas scheduling and stuff, I had a bunch of stuff I had to like kind of tape at Commander's Park. And I didn't realize this, but I was like taping something and I'd been talking for like 2 minutes and Frankie Louvu was just standing behind me, walking to his truck, doing like the Rocky pose with his hands up in the air. And I was like, how long you been there, dude? They're talking to a bunch of those defensive players yesterday. They are fired up because I think the answer to a rookie quarterback is go get him. And I think they believe they're going to get that opportunity.
Yeah, just heat the guy up. I think you're probably right in that count. I was just looking forward to playing against Kirk Cousins. At the start of the year, I was not looking forward to playing Kirk Cousins because I didn't want him to ruin our season later on. But the way that he's been playing, I was like, please just let Kirk hold on for dear life. Like, let Kirk throw one touchdown pass in some of these games so he doesn't get benched. But yeah, it was definitely the right call for the Falcons to go to Penix. I think that lefty quarterbacks in general are witches. BMitch, I don't know if you've ever played with one, but it just looks weird to see a lefty
witches?
throw the ball.
Witches, yeah.
Yeah, they're witches. It looks in college, a lefty quarterback looks awesome, but in the NFL, if you see a lefty throw the ball, like when I watch Tua throw, I'm like, what's going on here? I don't want to get beaten by a lefty, and Penix does scare me a little bit. But really, the thing that does scare me about the Falcons offense that we know is Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
So, but we did a good job shutting Barkley down in the second half. So maybe we're just going to go back to that and load up the box and see what they can do.
I don't think it's the worst idea, honestly. I think you go get Penix, try to slow down Bijan and let the chips fall, and you lean on your offense. Let Jayden do his thing. I mean,
him cook.
The plays he's been making, the confidence he's been playing with. But I do think you want to get Washington's run game going again. And B-Rob putting 2 on the ground last week. That is so fluky and outlier-ish compared to his career.
I'm begging for the ball.
Yeah. Well, dude, they gave him the ball late in that game.
Yeah, they went back to
a vital juncture. I think that was crucial. But it was kind of scary to see the 2 fumbles in the first, 17 minutes of the game.
Yeah, does Dan Quinn have a doghouse? I always love talking about, coaches' doghouses. Because some guys have huge doghouse where you're not getting out. I don't know if that Dan Quinn has a doghouse.
The way he builds a team is based on trust and belief in one another. And he would eventually you get too far down a bad road. There's always going to be repercussions, but he doesn't strike me. Dude, I mean, after B-Rob fumbled the second time, it was 1st and goal. It was 1st and 10 from like inside their own 5-yard line. And B-Rob was the running back out there. They ended up not handing the ball off, but like they went right back to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some guys like Belichick, if you slept in for a team meeting, it doesn't matter that you had 4 touchdowns the previous week. You weren't going to touch the ball for like a month. Some guys have big dog houses. I feel like Dan Quinn, you're right. He's like, I love and trust these guys. And then I saw B-Rob crying on the sidelines after his second fumble.
Oh, he hated that. He hated the fact that he put his team in a bad position.
Yeah. And so I trust him too. Listen, if Dan trusts you, I trust you. I'm all on board.
Yeah, it's funny. You remember Jonas Gray with the Patriots? He scored 3 touchdowns, then missed a meeting, and Belichick cut him.
Hey. Belichick probably say, I was the reason you got the touchdown, not you.
So, PFT, I was really excited when you were able to join us this week because I wanted to ask you something. Talking with our friend PFT Commenter. So, earlier this week, I guess kind of to promote that Sunday Night Football was, the Washington organization. The official Sunday Night Football account, which is a huge account, like SNF on NBC. It's got 1.5 million followers, whatever, right? They tweeted out which player deserves the top spot in Commanders history. And obviously, Commanders history is 2 years old. But like, if you're talking about the entire organization, and I'm going to say, just for the sake of argument, we can make it the modern era, like the Super Bowl era, so that we don't all have to try to defend Sammy Baugh's quarterbacking stats? Because I'm sure he was great in that era. It was just
I was going to defend him as a punter. He's a great punter.
But, like, what would your answer be to that question?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think you have to, as a player, that's a little bit more difficult because I think the answer to the organization is Joe Gibbs.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be it. But as a player, if I had to just take one of the guys off the field, I think I got to go Riggins.
I mean, now Riggins was there they won one Super Bowl with Riggo, but by far the most iconic play in team history.
Iconic play. I don't know if it's the best player.
Who would you say, B?
If I had to go with the best player overall, it's hard to go against Darryl Green. Played 20 years for your franchise. He's a Hall of Famer, you know. And then off the field, the things he did, and hell, when then he was running fastest man, he was beating everybody that's supposed to be fast in the league. That was supposedly track guys. I think that builds up his hype as well. But little dude from Texas A&I come in here and killed it.
I got to admit, when I get one wrong and I get bested by BMitch, it rarely happens. I could still tackle him in the open field. But yeah,
I don't think you can get close to me in open field.
BMitch, were you a house divided when we played the Eagles?
No.
Were you like, I don't know who to root for here?
No. Yeah, I was sitting right there working for the Commanders. On the sideline, people tell me, man, you know you want to cheer for us. No, I don't.
I think two names to be considered, and one of them is not the best player. I think if it's straight best player, I think you're right, B, in Darryl. But I think you got to consider Art Monk. Riggins got to be considered. But I think, like, PFT, to your point about Gibbs, I think the embodiment of what the best Redskins teams were of that run from 80 to 93, whatever you want to call it, is Jacoby. I mean, just that he was an undrafted guy that played on all those Super Bowls on both sides of the line, moved around all the time, played at an elite level. Not the best, but he's just part of the conversation to me.
Yeah, I would the Hog era with Jacoby and Grimm, those two guys in particular.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty good. I'm pumped to hear Carrie Underwood try to figure out how to weasel the word Commanders into the Sunday Night theme song.
I hadn't thought about that, dude.
It's a little bit more difficult than some of the other lyrics.
She gonna work that out so quick, man.
she gets paid
people
so
helping
much
her.
money, like $1 million a week. I have a lot.
There's people helping her. Believe me, she'll get that done.
Yeah. This may be a disagreeable take here, but I still miss Faith Hill doing the song. I think Faith Hill got it done. Specifically, there's a specific scene.
Very easy on the eyes.
Yo,
Faith's legs are 10 out of 10.
I said very easy on the eyes.
I miss Faith Hill's legs. I want the world to know.
I have a lot of
Lauren just heard that.
For the work that Carrie Underwood puts in the squat rack. I think that let's not sleep on her. She looks like she's putting up like Saquon, Jalen Hurts type numbers,
like a hockey player.
Yeah, big fan of her too. I think they all do a great job. I'm excited for what I'm always going to be nervous for primetime games.
Sure.
Just because we've seen a lot in the last 25 years in primetime. It hasn't always been good, but I'm slowly getting more excited for it. I'm slowly starting to think, okay, primetime can be a good thing for us. It's going to take years of reconditioning, but so far I feel less nervous than I would have felt. I feel nervous, but it's a good nerves, as opposed to in the past when I'd feel just a week of impending doom and dread going into a primetime game. So listen, we control our own destiny. We might need some help, ironically, from the Bears in week 17. If they can beat the Packers and we can go 2-0, then I think that would give us the 6th seed, right? And I'd rather, I guess on paper, I'd rather play the Rams than I would the Eagles. But in my weird world, I now have flipped and I want the Eagles to the playoffs because I want to see Max suffer. I want the opportunity to take any sort of joy away from Max and the city of Philadelphia. And that's the biggest change this year, I think, is I'm actually starting to see from Eagles fans that they don't like us, that they care enough to not like us. And that's a good feeling.
I
Great
agree.
feeling.
I agree with that. Well, dude, here's this other scenario that I try not to get too caught up in the if this happens, that happens, blah, blah, blah. But Jalen Hurts might miss Sunday's game for Philly against Dallas. And then you get to week 18. I think they close with the Giants, which you would think no matter who's quarterbacking, they can beat.
Yeah.
But the division doesn't seem like as closed of a door as it did before. Just if Hurts has to miss significant time here.
It's not. It's not closed. I just think that week 17, Nick Sirianni is going to, because this is the kind of guy he is going to give the ball to Saquon 40 times and try to get him the rushing record in the Meadowlands or at MetLife against the Giants, his old team. I feel like that is just set up for Nick to do his, very emotional style of coaching, and maybe sometimes to his own team's detriment, try to get his guy a record there. Now, did he initiate a Zoom call with Zach Ertz? Is that what happened? He sent him an email with a Zoom link, and he was like, I want you to join this so I can apologize to you.
I don't know why they wouldn't have just FaceTime.
If you're apologizing, you did something wrong. So I'm going to just put everything in Nick's lap.
Yeah, I feel bad for Big Dom at this point. I like Big Dom, but Big Dom, he's got his hands full with Nick. It's like every week it's something new with that guy. And I can't imagine that Zach Ertz was the one that initiated that entire disagreement. I'm gonna believe that it was Sirianni mouthing off. But yeah, I just want to say it for the record, Big Dom is the only part of the Eagles that I actually like.
I like Dom. Dom, my dude.
I love that guy.
Dom's been there since B played there.
That's my guy. Yeah.
PFT, thank you, brother. Happy holidays, happy New Year, and let's hope next time we talk, the Commanders are gearing up for a playoff game.
Let's get it.
Oh, I can't wait. I hope it happens. I hope it happens this week. And hail.
Hail.
All right, brother.
Thanks, PFT. Appreciate your time, bud.
Bye, guys.